Why fermentation and why eating fermented foods? Hello and welcome to my channel Be Healthy by Choice. My name is Lucie Patel-Vařeková and I'm a wellness and health consultant and also Thermomix advisor. I'm very passionate about teaching people how to eat real foods from scratch and how to make them from scratch. I'm using the Thermomix machine because it's quick, easy and cheaper, a lot cheaper than buying the food from supermarkets. Before I dive into this topic, feel free to get the book that I'm recommending, and also the reason is because you get more information from it. The information I'm taking from the Nourishing Traditions cookbook for children by Suzanne Gross and Sally Fallon Morel. So why eating fermented food? Well, let me ask you a quick question. What do yogurt, pickles, sourdough bread, cheese and wine all have in common? They are all fermented foods. They all have a sour flavor as well. That sour flavor is created by bacteria. Bacteria, you may ask. Don't bacteria make us sick? Sick. Some bacteria can make us sick, but most are actually good for us. In fact, we need bacteria to live. They are our friends, not our enemies. Bacteria may be too small to be seen without or to see without a microscope, but we can see what bacteria do. When a plant dies or a leaf falls to the ground, bacteria make it rot and turn it back into nutrient-rich soil. Then a new plant can grow from that soil. Without bacteria, the earth would be covered with dead plants and there would be no more nutrients in the soil to grow our food. Inside our bodies, bacteria help our stomach digest food and protect us from getting sick. When there is enough good bacteria inside our bodies, bad bacteria can't grow and make us sick. This is because all bacteria, for both good and bad, eat the same thing: sugar. If there is enough good bacteria, the bad bacteria will starve and die. Good bacteria make acid out of sugars, which keep bad bacteria from growing. To get good bacteria inside our bodies, we need to eat food that has good bacteria in it. Cooked and pasteurized foods don't have bacteria in them because that heat or the heat kills bacteria. Only raw and fermented foods have bacteria in them. This doesn't mean we have to eat all of our food raw or fermented. It's still okay to eat cooked food like meat, bread and soup. But every meal should include at least some raw or fermented food, like pickled vegetables, sour cream, a salad, or a glass of raw milk or fermented soda. Eating with seasons, it's a big thing. In the winter time, it's too cold for most plants to grow, but you can still find lots of fruits and vegetables at the supermarket. Do you know where they actually come from? They usually come from halfway around the world where it's summertime. In order to survive the long journey, they must be picked before they are ripe. By the time they arrive at the supermarket, they are old and have very few vitamins left in them. Before there were supermarkets and before food was shipped around the world, people ate with the seasons. During the winter, there were not as many foods to eat, usually only root vegetables, grains, and animal foods. But people prepared for this. In the summer and fall, autumn, when the gardens, oceans, and forests were full of fruits and vegetables, they would save the extra by, by fermenting them. This fermented food lasted many months and could be eaten during the winter. Fermented foods don't lose vitamins as they get older like fresh foods do. In fact, fermented foods have more vitamins in them than they did when they were fresh. This is because the good bacteria in fermented foods actually make vitamins. Have you ever wondered why we often get sick during the winter time? Maybe it's because we are not eating fermented foods during the winter like our ancestors did. Ingredients and tools for fermenting. In this chapter, you will learn how to make fermented foods and vegetables by a process called lactofermentation. Here are a few things you will need before you get started. Lactobacilli starter. Lacto-fermented vegetables are made with bacteria called lactobacilli. Lactobacilli live in the soil and on plants, fruits and vegetables. They are also found in raw milk and cultured milk products like yogurt. It's possible to make lacto-fermented vegetables without adding a lactobacilli starter, since lactobacilli usually live on the vegetables themselves. But if the vegetables have been sprayed with chemicals or washed with soap, they may not have any lactobacilli on them. It's best to add a lactobacilli starter to your ferments. Whey and water kefir both have lactobacilli in them, and they can be used as starters. After you've made your first jar of lacto-fermented vegetables, you can simply use a bit of the liquid from the jar, called the brine, as your starter for the next jar. Mason jars. You will need quart-sized glass, mason, or canning jars to ferment the vegetables in. It's best if they have a wide opening. These can usually be found at hardware or kitchen supply stores. It's important to keep the jars tightly closed while the food is fermenting. Lactobacilli do not need oxygen to grow. If air gets inside the jar, other types of bacteria will grow in them, including the kind of bacteria that makes food rot. Some of the recipes in this chapter will tell you burp the jar. This is to release pressure from inside the jar created by the bacteria giving off air. Unscrew or release the lid just until you hear some air escape. Then close the jar tightly again. Water. Filtered tap water or pure spring water is best. Do not use water that is chlorinated. Chlorine kills bacteria. Salt. Unrefined sea salt is best. Do not use ionized salt. Iodine kills bacteria. It's very important to use salt when lacto-fermenting vegetables because the salt helps to prevent the growth of bad bacteria before the, the good bacteria has a chance to grow. Antibiotics. Now, a little bit about that. When bad bacteria makes you sick, your doctor may prescribe an antibiotic. Antibiotics kill the bad bacteria, but they also kill good bacteria. It's very easy to get sick again after taking antibiotics because your body is left with even less good bacteria to protect itself. You may also get tummy aches because the antibiotics kill the bacteria that help your body digest food. It's best to avoid taking antibiotics. If you've taken them in the past, eating fermented foods will help put good bacteria back in your body. Now, here let me give you some ideas what you can actually cook or make yourself. This is a sample for pickled cucumbers. In Thermomix, there is a recipe that you can make sweet cucumber pickles. It is a little bit, the initial preparation is actually very short, but you've got to allow some time for the fermentation process to do its magic, hence the 48 hours. Next one would be sauerkraut. Oh, it's so popular in Central Eastern Europe, especially during winter. And in this one is particularly good. It takes 96 hours, so it's a lengthy process, but I tell you, it's so worth it. Another sample, pickled beetroots. Oh, here you've got a couple of examples that what you can make in the Thermomix, which is Russian beetroot salad. That is pretty quick, and lentil and roasted roots with salsa verde. Next one, this is kefir, water kefir. For that, it's not actually difficult to make, but it's quite fun. Next one, ginger ale or ale. Shirley Temple in the Thermomix in 5 minutes. Or this is another sample what you can put ginger ale in, and that's tropical mimosa, again 5-minute job. So this is it. This is what I wanted to share with you in today's quick video. Thank you so much for coming, and if you'd like to reach me, please feel free to use any of these channels, and I'd like to thank you for your attention and see you next time. Bye for now.